Good morning. Good morning, everybody. And a belated Happy New Year. It was quite a pleasure this morning to go outside and not feel like a packet of frozen peas. So I've just got a couple of things to say before we kick off. The first thing is, if you could just remember to mute your that would be great. Thank you very much. And the more important one is that we achieved our 500th member, now in fact 501, over the weekend. Is to pay a great thank you to David Smith and the effort he's put in to get to that milestone. He set a target of 500 earlier on towards the beginning of this session, and he's achieved that, so wonderful. Thank you very much. I'll now hand it over to Yvonne, who will bring us up to date with all the other things that are going on.
And just a quick update, we're now up to 502 and shortly 503, so a membership's secretary job is never done.
Right. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year to anybody I haven't said that to already. So I've got a few things to let you know about. First, on the subject of social events, Graham is planning to organise a few of those a bit later in the year. So if you've got any ideas about what you'd like to do as a social event, he'd love to hear from you. When I send this round by email, his contact details will be on there, or you can find his contact details on our website, or you can come and speak to him after the meeting. First aid training, I think I've ran this advert once before. We've had a couple of first aid training opportunities that might be of interest to some of you, particularly if you're in a more of a physical activity group. There's one at the Perth Royal Infirmary that's on the 22nd of February. And also there's a Red Cross online course that might be of interest. And again, I will circulate that when I send this round, so you'll get the contact details for all of that. The Carpet Bowls group has moved its weekly cycle from weeks 2 and 4 to 1 and 3. So if you weren't available to do carpet bowls in weeks 2 and 4, perhaps you are available now. So give that some thought. And that's all I've got to say. I'm just now going to hand over to Philip Briers, who's a member, who wants to talk to you briefly about Vision PK and a group therein. Over to you, Philip.
Thanks very much, Yvonne. Vision PK is the local charity supporting people with a visual impairment. They've recently been involved in establishing a group of their members who are interested in meetings addressing a variety of themes, so far particularly historical themes or occasionally poetry. One or two U3A members have already volunteered to make a presentation, and I'm appealing for others who would be interested in doing this to let me know. I've sent to Yvonne a piece to go in News Roundup, which will have my contact details, and I can tell you more about the group. It meets on the second Tuesday of every month between 1:30 and 2:30, and presentations don't need to be expert and are usually about 20 minutes, half an hour. So if you are interested in helping in that way, please let me know. We could do with a few more people who are willing to come along and talk to that group, who incidentally would have difficulty from access reasons and because so many groups use PowerPoint, which is clearly not suitable for them. So that's the reason they meet separately. Maybe one day some of them will feel able to join some of the U3A groups, but in the meantime, this is a mini version of what we are. And please look for the details if you would be interested in helping. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, on to the business of the day. We're very lucky today to have with us Donna Patton, who is a local author and has written a number of books on Perthshire. And today he's going to talk to us, as you can see, about Robert Burns. I'd like to thank one of our members, David Bertie, who introduced Robert to me, to give us this opportunity of listening to him today, so close to Burns Night. So, Donald, over to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for inviting me here this morning to talk about Robert Burns in Perthshire. For many years I've been intrigued by the Highland Tour undertaken by Robert Burns in 1787, and sometimes felt that the connections the poet had with Perthshire, Kinross and Clackmannanshire during the late summer and autumn of that year were worthy of more detailed description and analysis. In many accounts of the tour, the Perthshire aspect is given only a brief mention, and although in reality Burns only spent a few days in our county, we should remember what he achieved in that short time in terms of preserving much of Scotland's almost forgotten traditional music and song. A few years ago, I decided to retrace the steps of Burns' visit to Perthshire at exactly the same time of year, taking photographs showing the area in its autumnal glory. And the result is this PowerPoint presentation and also the book which came out last year on virtually a little bit more detail than what you're getting today. In 1787, Robert Burns was the wonder of Edinburgh. It was a time known as the Scottish Enlightenment, and Burns, at 28 years old, had become a part of it. The first formal publication of his works, poems chiefly in the Scottish dialect, published in Kilmarnock in 1786 and paid for by subscription, had changed Burns's life. It had sprung him away from the grind of agricultural routine and made him a public figure. One of the 612 copies of the Kilmarnock edition had reached Edinburgh, where it is perceived to have some merit. Informed of this, Burns abandoned his plans for emigration to the West Indies and left instead for Edinburgh on a borrowed pony to arrange for a new edition of his poems, and arrived there on the 29th of November, 1786. Robert Burns was wined and dined by people who, almost without exception, were from a different class and background from him, such as the Duchess of Gordon and the philosopher and historian Adam Ferguson, who actually came from Logie Rate in Perthshire, at whose home he was impressed and was impressed by a 15-year-old Walter Scott. But following tours of the Scottish borders and Argyll, Burns decided to embark on a